The sprawling California estate stood silent in the early morning light, its modern glass walls reflecting the golden sunrise over Silicon Valley. Tech mogul David Chen had built this architectural masterpiece 5 years ago, when his software company had gone public and made him one of the youngest billionaires in the tech industry. But the house that once rang with joy now felt hollow. 9-year-old Lily Chen moved quietly through the minimalist living room, her small footsteps barely audible on the polished concrete floors. She clutched a worn stuffed bunny, the last gift her mother had given her before the car accident 3 years ago. The accident that had shattered their perfect family. Lily paused at the digital photo frame in the hallway, watching images cycle through happier times. There was Mom, laughing at the beach. Dad lifting her high in the air. The three of them at Disneyland. She reached out and touched the screen gently. "Morning, Mama," she whispered, her voice small in the vast space. Her father had tried to fill the emptiness. He'd bought her every toy imaginable, enrolled her in the best schools, hired the finest tutors. But nothing could replace what they'd lost. And 6 months ago, he'd married Victoria, hoping to bring warmth back into their cold modern home. The sound of heels clicking on the concrete floor made Lily turn. Victoria appeared, tall and elegant in a designer pantsuit, her dark hair pulled back severely. She was already on her phone, scrolling through messages. "You're awake early," Victoria said without looking up, her voice crisp and professional. She ran a consulting firm and approached everything in life like a business transaction. "I wanted to see the sunrise," Lily replied softly. Victoria finally glanced at her, her eyes narrowing at Lily's outfit, a soft pink dress her father had bought for her birthday. "That dress is too fancy for everyday wear. You'll ruin it." "But Daddy said." "Your father isn't here," Victoria interrupted. "He's in Tokyo for 3 weeks closing the merger deal. I'm in charge now, and we need to establish some new rules." Lily's heart sank. 3 weeks felt like forever. Victoria walked to a closet and pulled out something Lily had never seen before. Simple gray clothes that looked like the uniform the household staff wore. "From now on, you'll wear this during the day. It's practical. No more ruining expensive clothes." "But that's what Nina wears," Lily said, referring to their housekeeper. "I'm not." "You're not what?" "Too good to dress practically." Victoria's voice had an edge now. "You live in this house. You should contribute. Nina is overwhelmed with work, and you're old enough to help." Lily stared at the gray uniform in disbelief. Her stomach twisted with confusion and fear. This couldn't be right. But Victoria's expression left no room for argument. "Go change," Victoria commanded. "And then help Nina with breakfast preparations. Consider it character building." With trembling hands, Lily took the uniform and walked slowly toward her room. Behind her, she heard Victoria already on another phone call, her voice switching to saccharine sweetness as she spoke to a client. Inside her bedroom, a space designed by a famous interior decorator with custom furniture and smart home technology. Lily sat on her bed and looked at the gray fabric in her hands. It smelled like industrial detergent and felt rough against her fingers. She wanted to call her father, but it was the middle of the night in Tokyo. He'd told her to be good, to listen to Victoria while he was away. He'd been so happy when he'd introduced Victoria, saying she'd be the mother figure Lily needed. Lily changed slowly, the uniform hanging loose on her small frame. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked like she worked there, not like she lived there. "Daddy will fix this when he comes home," she told her reflection, trying to sound brave. But her voice cracked, and tears threatened to spill. Deep down, something told her that 3 weeks would feel much longer than she'd ever imagined. If you're moved by Lily's story, please hit the like button and subscribe. The next chapter reveals how her situation gets even worse. Don't miss it. Turn on notifications now. Nina Santos, the longtime housekeeper who'd been with the Chen family since before Lily was born, nearly dropped the pan of eggs she was holding when Lily walked into the kitchen wearing the gray uniform. "Hi, me Nina," Nina gasped, her Mexican accent thickening with emotion. "Why are you dressed like this?" Mrs. Victoria said I should help you, Lily explained quietly, standing awkwardly in the doorway of the professional-grade kitchen with its stainless steel appliances and marble countertops. Nina set down the pan and crouched to Lily's eye level, her weathered hands gently touching the child's shoulders. This is not right. You are the daughter of this house, not. Is there a problem? Victoria's voice cut through the moment like a knife. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, her expression cold. Nina stood quickly, smoothing her own uniform. No, Mrs. Victoria. I was just surprised. Lily needs to learn responsibility, Victoria said firmly. Her father has spoiled her. In the real world, everyone works. Even children. She turned her sharp gaze to Lily. Start by setting the table. And don't break anything. Those plates cost more than most people's monthly salary. For the next hour, Lily carried plates that felt too heavy in her small hands, poured orange juice carefully into crystal glasses, and tried to remember which fork went where. Victoria watched with critical eyes, pointing out every mistake. The knife blade faces inward, not outward. The water glass goes above the knife, not the fork. Are you even paying attention? I'm sorry, Lily whispered, quickly adjusting the placement. Nina worked silently beside her, occasionally giving Lily encouraging smiles when Victoria wasn't looking. But the kind housekeeper's presence couldn't shield Lily from the harsh reality of what was happening. By mid-morning, Lily was exhausted. She'd helped clean the breakfast dishes, wiped down counters, and was now supposed to dust the living room. Her arms ached, and she'd accidentally knocked over a decorative vase, which thankfully hadn't broken. Victoria had merely raised an eyebrow. Clumsy. Just like your mother was, I've heard. The comment stung worse than any physical pain. Lily bit her lip to keep from crying. The worst part wasn't even the work, it was how Victoria looked at her. There was no warmth, no kindness. Just cold calculation, as if Lily were a problem to be solved rather than a child to be cared for. That afternoon, while Victoria was in her home office on a video conference, Nina pulled Lily aside in the laundry room. Listen to me, Mija, Nina said urgently, keeping her voice low. This woman, she is not good. Your papa, he doesn't know what she's doing. You need to tell him. He's so busy with the merger, Lily said, tears finally spilling over. He said this deal is really important. I don't want to bother him. You are more important than any business deal, Nina insisted. You call him tonight, yes? Tell him everything. Lily nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. What if her father thought she was just being difficult? What if Victoria was right, and she really was spoiled and needed to learn responsibility? That evening, Lily tried to call her father using the tablet in her room. The call went to voicemail. She tried again an hour later. Voicemail again. By the third attempt, her courage had faded. Instead, she sent a text. Hi Daddy. Miss you. When are you coming home? The response came 15 minutes later. Miss you too, sweetheart. Very busy here. Be good for Victoria. Love you. Talk soon. Lily stared at the message, her heart heavy. How could she explain everything in a text? She needed to hear his voice, to tell him properly. But he was on the other side of the world, buried in meetings and negotiations. She looked down at the grey uniform she was still wearing. Victoria had told her to wear it, until further notice. Her beautiful pink dress hung in the closet, untouched. Outside her window, the sun was setting over Silicon Valley, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the distance, she could see the lights of her father's company headquarters, the building that bore his name. He'd built an empire. Surely he could fix this when he came home. Lily just had to survive 3 weeks. She curled up on her bed, hugging her stuffed bunny tight, and whispered into its soft fur, Mama, if you can hear me, please help Daddy come home soon. In the silence of her room, surrounded by expensive furniture and smart technology that could control everything except her own life, Lily had never felt more alone. 2 weeks had passed since David Chen left for Tokyo. 2 weeks of Lily wearing the grey uniform, cleaning, serving, and trying to stay invisible. Nina did her best to protect the child, but Victoria was always watching, always correcting, always reminding Lily that she was failing to meet expectations. Now, as Saturday evening approached, the house buzzed with preparation. Victoria was hosting a dinner party for her elite circle of friends, successful businesswomen, tech executives' wives, and socialites who treated gossip like currency. Everything must be perfect, Victoria announced to the staff that afternoon. She wore a sleek black dress that probably cost more than Nina earned in 6 months. We're having wine from my private collection, and I've hired a chef to prepare a 7-course meal. She turned to Lily, who stood quietly in the corner of the great room. You'll help serve tonight. Lily's eyes widened. But I'm not good at. Then you'll learn, Victoria said curtly. Consider it a valuable life lesson. Not everyone grows up with a silver spoon, Lily. Some of us had to work for everything we have. The irony wasn't lost on Nina, who knew Victoria had married David specifically for his wealth and status. But the housekeeper kept her thoughts to herself. By evening, luxury cars filled the circular driveway. Women in designer clothes and expensive jewelry streamed into the house, their laughter loud and their perfume overwhelming. Victoria greeted each one with air kisses and compliments that sounded rehearsed. Ladies, welcome. Victoria's voice rang through the modern space. Tonight we celebrate success, friendship, and the finer things in life. The women settled into the dining room, where the long table had been set with crystal, fine china, and elaborate floral arrangements. They talked about their latest purchases, their husbands' companies, and upcoming charity galas where they'd be seen. Lily stood by the kitchen door, holding a tray that felt impossibly heavy. Nina had shown her how to carry it properly, but her hands still shook. You can do this, Mija, Nina whispered encouragingly. Just be careful. When Victoria called for the wine, Lily took a deep breath and walked into the dining room. The conversation stopped abruptly. All eyes turned to her. Is that your stepdaughter? A woman with platinum blonde hair asked, her eyes wide with shock. Why is she dressed like staff? Another whispered loudly. Victoria's smile didn't waver. Lily is learning about hard work and humility. Her father and I agree that children today are too entitled. She needs to understand that life isn't just about privilege. The explanation seemed to satisfy some of the women, who nodded approvingly. But others exchanged uncomfortable glances. Lily moved carefully between the chairs, pouring wine into each glass. Her small hands trembled so badly that a few drops splashed onto the tablecloth. She froze, terrified. Careful, Victoria snapped. That tablecloth is imported Italian linen. Do you have any idea what it costs? I'm sorry, Lily whispered, her face burning with shame. She's just a child, one woman said softly, a guest named Margaret who owned a chain of boutique hotels. She had kind eyes that reminded Lily of her mother. Precisely why she needs discipline, Victoria replied coolly. Children who grow up without responsibility become entitled adults. She gestured dismissively at Lily. Continue. Lily finished pouring and retreated to her position by the wall, where Victoria had instructed her to stand, in case anyone needs anything. She felt like a piece of furniture, present but not acknowledged. The women ate their elaborate meal, foie gras, lobster bisque, perfectly cooked lamb, while Lily's stomach growled quietly. She hadn't eaten since breakfast because Victoria said she could eat after the guests leave. As the evening wore on, the wine flowed freely and the conversation grew louder. Victoria held court, telling stories that painted her as a savior who'd rescued David and his daughter from their grief-stricken chaos. When I met David, this house was a mess, Victoria said, her words slightly slurred from alcohol. The child was running wild. No structure, no discipline. I had to bring order. You're doing important work, someone agreed. Children need boundaries. Exactly, Victoria continued. And honestly, she should be grateful. I'm teaching her skills she'll need when the money runs out. Tech fortunes don't last forever. Margaret, the hotel owner, had been watching Lily throughout the evening. She noticed the child's exhaustion, the way her small shoulders slumped, the sadness in her eyes that no 9-year-old should carry. As dessert was being cleared, disaster struck. Lily reached for a plate, but her tired muscles betrayed her. The fine china slipped from her hands and shattered on the polished concrete floor. The crash silenced the entire room. Victoria's face flushed red with rage. She stood so quickly her chair scraped loudly. "You clumsy, stupid child." Before anyone could react, Victoria grabbed Lily's arm roughly. "I told you to be careful. Do you know what you just broke? That was part of a limited edition set." Tears streamed down Lily's face. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it." Victoria raised her hand. "Stop." Margaret stood abruptly, her voice firm. "Victoria, she's a child. It was an accident." But Victoria was beyond reason. She grabbed Lily by both shoulders and shook her. "You will clean every single piece of this up. And you can forget about dinner. Maybe hunger will teach you to pay attention." "This isn't right," Margaret said, her voice growing stern. "I think we should." "What you think is irrelevant," Victoria snapped. "This is my house, and she is my responsibility." The other guests looked away uncomfortably. No one else spoke up. Lily knelt on the floor, carefully picking up shards of broken china through her tears. Her fingers trembled as she placed each piece on a napkin, terrified of cutting herself but more terrified of Victoria's anger. The party ended shortly after, the atmosphere ruined. As the guests left, Margaret paused and looked back at Lily, still cleaning. She pulled out her phone and quietly opened the camera app, taking a single photo of the scene before leaving. That night, after everyone had gone and Victoria had retired to her room, Nina found Lily still in the dining room, sitting on the floor surrounded by broken pieces. "Come, Mija," Nina said gently, helping her up. "Let me get you some food." In the kitchen, while Lily ate leftover bread and cheese, Nina made a decision. "Tomorrow, I'm going to find a way to contact your papa. This has gone too far." But upstairs, hidden in the corners of several rooms, small security cameras had been recording everything. David Chen believed in protecting his home and family. He'd installed the system before marrying Victoria, wanting to ensure his daughter's safety while he traveled. He had no idea the cameras would capture something far different than burglars or accidents. He had no idea that in just one more week, everything would change. The days blurred together for Lily. Wake at dawn, put on the gray uniform, help Nina with breakfast, clean, dust, try to stay out of Victoria's way. Her arms ached constantly from carrying things too heavy for a 9-year-old. Her feet hurt from standing for hours. But worst of all was the loneliness, trapped in her own home, feeling like an unwanted guest. She'd stopped trying to call her father. Every attempt went to voicemail, and his texts were brief. "Busy. Be good. Love you." He had no idea what being good really meant. On the third Tuesday of his absence, something inside Lily finally broke. It started with a simple request. Victoria needed coffee brought to her home office where she was conducting a virtual meeting with clients. Nina was dealing with a plumbing emergency in the guest bathroom, so Lily carefully prepared the espresso exactly as Victoria liked it. Double shot, 1 sugar, no milk. She carried the cup on a small tray, walking slowly through the house. Her hands shook from fatigue. She'd been up since 5 that morning, helping Nina prepare for a grocery delivery. The door to Victoria's office was slightly open. Through it, Lily could hear Victoria's voice, professional and polished, nothing like the cold tone she used with Lily. "Yes, the merger should finalize next week," Victoria was saying. "David's been handling everything brilliantly. And once it's done, we'll finally have complete access to." Lily knocked softly. "Just a moment," Victoria said to her screen, then sharply, "Come in." Lily entered, carefully carrying the tray. But as she approached the desk, Her toe caught on the edge of an expensive rug. She stumbled. The cup tilted. Hot espresso splashed across Victoria's white blouse. Victoria screamed, jumping up from her chair. "You idiot! You stupid, worthless!" On the computer screen, Lily could see the shocked faces of Victoria's clients watching. "I have to go," Victoria said through gritted teeth, ending the call abruptly. Then she turned the full force of her fury on Lily. That was $1,000 blouse. That meeting was with the CEO of a major firm. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I'm sorry, I tripped, I didn't mean." Victoria's hand shot out and grabbed Lily's arm hard enough to leave marks. "You never mean to. You're just like your father said, clumsy, careless, just like your mother." Something snapped in Lily at those words. "Don't talk about my mother." The defiance in her voice seemed to shock Victoria momentarily. Then her expression turned ice cold. "Go to your room. Now. You're staying there for the rest of the day. No food, no tablet, nothing. Maybe isolation will teach you respect." Lily ran, tears streaming down her face. She slammed her bedroom door and collapsed on her bed, sobbing into her stuffed bunny. Everything hurt. Her body, her heart, her spirit. She was trapped. Her father was thousands of miles away, unreachable. Victoria controlled everything. Nina tried to help but had no real power. And Lily was just a child with no way out. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky, casting long shadows through her floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked Silicon Valley. Lily watched the world below. Cars moving, people living their lives, free. Around dinner time, she heard her tablet ping. Despite Victoria's orders, Nina had managed to sneak it into her room earlier. Lily grabbed it desperately. A message from her father. "Great news. Merger finalized. Coming home Saturday instead of next week. Can't wait to see you, princess." Saturday. That was 4 days away. 4 more days of this nightmare. But also, 4 days until rescue. Lily typed back with trembling fingers. "Daddy, please come home soon. I need to talk to you. It's important." This time, his response was almost immediate. "Everything okay?" She stared at the screen, tears blurring her vision. How could she explain in a text? But something made her try. "Mrs. Victoria makes me wear a uniform and clean all day. She's mean to me, Daddy. Please come home." The 3 dots appeared, showing he was typing. They bounced for a long time. Then, "What?" "I'll call you in 5 minutes." Lily waited, her heart pounding. 5 minutes passed. 10. 20. Finally, the call came. She answered before the first ring finished. "Daddy." "Sweetheart, I'm sorry that took longer. I had to step out of a celebration dinner. Now, tell me slowly, what's going on?" The words poured out of her. The uniform. The cleaning. The dinner party. The harsh words. Being locked in her room. All of it spilled out between sobs. David's voice grew colder with each revelation. "Lily, listen to me carefully. I'm getting on a plane tonight. I'll be home tomorrow. Can you hold on for 1 more day?" "Yes," she whispered. "Good girl." "And Lily, take pictures of the uniform. Record anything else she says to you if you can. Can you do that?" "Okay. I love you so much. This is not your fault. I should have been there. I should have." His voice cracked. "I'll fix this. I promise." After they hung up, Lily sat in the darkness of her room, feeling something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Down the hallway, Victoria was on her own phone, laughing with someone. "Yes, David's coming home early. The merger went through. Do you know how much money we're talking about? The prenup is solid, but there are always ways around these things." She didn't know Lily's door was cracked open slightly. She didn't know the security cameras were still recording. She didn't know that by this time tomorrow, everything she'd built would come crashing down. David Chen's private jet touched down at San Jose International Airport at 6:47 a.m. Pacific Time. He hadn't slept during the 18-hour flight from Tokyo. Instead, he'd spent the entire journey reviewing security camera footage from his home, his face growing darker with each video clip. He watched Victoria force his daughter to change into a uniform. He watched Lily carry heavy trays with shaking hands. He watched his wife humiliate his child in front of guests. He watched Victoria grab Lily's arm hard enough to hurt. By the time the plane landed, David's jaw was clenched so tightly it ached. His assistant, who'd accompanied him on the flight, had never seen him so furious. "Cancel all my meetings for the next week," David said as they descended the jet stairs. "Every single one. But Mr. Chen, the press conference for the merger." "I don't care. Family emergency. Handle it." His driver was waiting with the Tesla. David climbed in, his mind racing. He'd built a billion-dollar company from nothing. He'd negotiated with the toughest business leaders in the world. But he'd failed at the most important job, protecting his daughter. The car wound through Silicon Valley's morning traffic, past tech campuses and coffee shops filled with engineers starting their day. David barely saw any of it. His mind was in his house, where his daughter was waking up to another day of mistreatment. When they finally pulled into his circular driveway, it was just past 8. He didn't wait for the driver to open his door. He was out and striding toward the entrance before the car fully stopped. He used his key quietly. The house was as he'd left it, minimalist, modern, cold. But now it felt different. Hostile. From the kitchen, he heard voices. Victoria's laugh, artificial and bright. And then Lily's small voice. "Yes, ma'am. I'll wash those dishes now." David moved silently across the concrete floor. Years of meditation and yoga had taught him to control his breathing, his movements. He'd need that control now. When he appeared in the kitchen doorway, the scene before him confirmed everything he'd seen in the footage. His daughter wore the gray uniform, standing at the sink washing dishes that should have been in the dishwasher. Her hair was messy, her small shoulders hunched. Victoria stood nearby, scrolling through her phone, a coffee cup in her hand. Nina saw him first. Her eyes went wide. "Senor Chen." Lily spun around, dropping the plate she was holding. It clattered in the sink but didn't break. "Daddy." She ran to him, and David caught her, lifting her up despite her being too old for that. She was so light. Too light. Had she lost weight? "Hey, princess," he said softly, holding her tight. Victoria's face went through a rapid transformation. Shock, then panic, then a forced smile. "David, you're home early. We weren't expecting you until Saturday. Let me just..." "Why?" David interrupted, his voice deadly quiet. "Is my daughter dressed like this?" He set Lily down gently but kept one hand on her shoulder. Victoria's laugh sounded nervous now. "Oh, that. It's just, we were doing some character building. Teaching her responsibility and character building." David's voice dropped even lower. "By making her a servant in her own home?" "You're misunderstanding the situation," Victoria said quickly, setting down her coffee cup. Her professional mask was slipping. "Children today are too coddled. I was trying to..." "Show me your arm, Lily," David said to his daughter. Lily hesitated, then rolled up her sleeve. Dark bruises marked where Victoria had grabbed her days before. The silence that followed was deafening. "David, I can explain." "Don't." He held up his hand. His calm was more terrifying than any shouting. "I've seen the security footage. All of it. The dinner party. The verbal abuse. Everything." Victoria's face went pale. "There are cameras. Did you really think I'd leave my daughter in a house without security?" David pulled out his phone and pulled up the footage, holding it so Victoria could see. Her own face filled the screen, her voice saying, "She's just my husband's daughter." "That's out of context," Victoria stammered. "I was just..." There is no context that makes this acceptable. David put his phone away. Nina, please take Lily upstairs and help her pack her favorite things. We're going to stay at the Ritz for a few days. Yes, sir. Nina immediately moved to Lily, placing a protective hand on the child's back. Daddy, don't leave me again, Lily whispered, clinging to his leg. David knelt down to her level, his expression softening completely. I'm not leaving, sweetheart. I'm never leaving you again. I promise. Nina's just going to help you pack some things while I handle this, okay? 5 minutes. Lily nodded reluctantly and let Nina guide her out of the kitchen. Once they were alone, David stood and faced Victoria, the woman who'd seemed so perfect when he'd met her at a charity gala 18 months ago. Sophisticated, successful, understanding about his daughter and his loss. It had all been an act. David, please. Victoria's voice took on a pleading tone. I made mistakes, but I was trying to help. You were always traveling, and she needed structure, and You abused my child. That's not. I never hit her. I was just strict, and maybe I went too far, but you made her serve you and your friends like hired help. You grabbed her hard enough to bruise. You withheld food as punishment. You told her she was worthless. David's hands clenched at his sides. You destroyed her sense of safety in her own home. Victoria's strategy shifted. Tears appeared in her eyes, real or fake. David couldn't tell anymore. I love you, David. We can work through this. I'll change. I'll apologize to Lily. We can go to therapy, and... No. The finality in his voice stopped her cold. My lawyers will contact you today. The prenuptial agreement is clear about treatment of my child. You'll get nothing. You can't throw me out. Victoria's mask fully dropped now, revealing the calculating woman beneath. I gave up my career to marry you. You ran a consulting firm from my house while living off my money, David corrected coldly. You gave up nothing. Pack your personal belongings. You have until noon. This is my home too. No. It's my daughter's home. You made sure she knew it wasn't yours. He pulled out his phone again. Would you like me to send this footage to your former clients? I'm sure they'd be interested to see how you treat children. Victoria's expression turned venomous. You're making a mistake. That child is spoiled and manipulative. She probably exaggerated everything to turn you against me. The cameras don't lie. And neither does she. David moved toward the door, then paused. You know what the sad thing is? I actually thought you cared. I thought you'd be good for both of us. But you only cared about the money and status. Maybe if you'd been here instead of always working, none of this would have happened. Victoria shot back spitefully. David turned to face her one last time. You're right. I should have been here. I should have seen who you really were. That's on me. But what you did to an innocent child, that's all on you. He left her standing in the kitchen and went upstairs, where he found Lily in her room with Nina, surrounded by half-packed suitcases. Ready, princess? He asked gently. Lily looked at the grey uniform she was wearing. Can I change first? Absolutely. David walked to her closet and pulled out the pink dress he'd bought for her birthday, the one Victoria had forbidden her to wear. How about this? 10 minutes later, David carried Lily's bags to the car while his daughter, dressed in her pink dress and clutching her stuffed bunny, walked beside him. Nina followed with a few more items. Victoria appeared at the top of the stairs, her face streaked with angry tears. You'll regret this, David. Both of you. David didn't even look back. He buckled Lily into the car, then climbed in beside her instead of sitting in front. As they pulled away, Lily watched the house disappear behind them. Daddy, are we ever going back? Eventually. But right now, we both need time away from that place. We'll stay at a hotel, order room service, watch movies. And then we'll figure out what comes next. Together. Promise you won't leave again? David pulled his daughter close. I promise. No more long trips. No more putting work first. You're my priority, Lily. You always should have been. As the car headed toward downtown San Jose, David made a silent vow. He'd built a tech empire, but he'd failed at the most important project, being present for his daughter. That was going to change. Starting today. The presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton felt like a different world from the cold, modern mansion. Soft carpets, warm lighting, and most importantly, no gray uniforms or harsh voices. Just Lily, her father, and room service menus. What do you want for breakfast, princess? David asked, sitting beside her on the plush sofa. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Silicon Valley. Lily looked at the menu uncertainly. What am I allowed to have? The question broke David's heart. His daughter was asking permission to eat in a hotel where everything was complimentary. Anything you want, he said gently. Everything on that menu is yours if you want it. Pancakes, waffles, eggs, fruit. All of it. She pointed hesitantly at the pancakes. Just these. How about pancakes and waffles and fruit and hot chocolate? David suggested. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Being together. And you never having to wear that uniform again. A small smile crossed Lily's face, the first genuine smile David had seen since he'd returned. Okay. While they waited for breakfast, David helped Lily unpack her things. That's when he noticed her hands, small cuts and roughness that shouldn't be there on a 9-year-old. Your hands. He started. From the dishes and cleaning, Lily said quietly. The chemicals made them hurt sometimes. David closed his eyes briefly, fighting back emotion. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have known. I should have been there. You were working. You always said the business was important. Nothing is more important than you, David said firmly, meeting her eyes. Nothing. Not the merger, not the company, not any amount of money. You are my priority. Always. Lily studied his face, as if testing whether he meant it. What about when you have to travel again? Then you come with me. Or I don't go. We'll figure it out together. Breakfast arrived. A ridiculous amount of food spread across the table. For the first time in weeks, Lily ate without fear of being scolded for taking too much or criticized for eating too slowly. David watched her carefully. She was still hesitant, still waiting for correction that wouldn't come. It would take time to undo the damage Victoria had caused. After breakfast, David made several phone calls while Lily watched cartoons on the massive TV, something she'd been forbidden to do at home. First, he called his lawyer. James, I need divorce papers filed immediately. Grounds, violation of prenuptial agreement regarding treatment of my daughter. I have video evidence. Next, he called his assistant. Clear my schedule for the next month. Everything. I'll work from here, but my meetings are now limited to 2 hours per day, and only virtual. My daughter is my priority. Finally, he called his therapist, the one he'd seen after his first wife died. Dr. Martinez? I need to schedule sessions for my daughter. And family sessions for both of us. Something's happened. When he finished, Lily was watching him with wide eyes. Are you really not going to work? I'll still work a little bit, David admitted. But from here with you. And when I'm in meetings, you'll be right in the next room, doing homework or watching TV or whatever you want. Deal. Deal. She paused. Daddy, can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you marry her? Mrs. Victoria. David sighed and sat beside her, choosing his words carefully. After your mom died, I was very sad and very lonely. Victoria seemed nice at first. She said she wanted to help us both. I thought I was giving you a mother figure, someone to care for you when I was traveling. She was only nice when you were watching, Lily said softly. I know that now. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I was so focused on work, on trying to keep everything running, that I missed what was happening right in front of me. He took her small hand in his. But I see it now. And I promise you, I will never let anyone treat you like that again. Not even if they seem nice at first. Especially not then. From now on, we make decisions together. If I ever consider dating someone, you meet them first. Multiple times. And if you don't like them, that's the end of it. Your opinion matters most. Lily leaned against him. I miss Mommy. I do too, sweetheart. Every day. Do you think she'd be mad at you for not seeing what Mrs. Victoria was doing? David's throat tightened. Honestly, I think she'd be furious with me. Your mother was fierce about protecting you. She would have seen through Victoria immediately. I tried to be brave like Mommy would want. You were incredibly brave. Braver than any kid should have to be. David hugged her close. But you don't have to be that brave anymore. I'm here now. And I'm not going anywhere. They spent the rest of the day doing simple things. They watched movies. They played games on David's tablet. They ordered lunch and dinner from room service. They talked about nothing important and everything important. That evening, as Lily was getting ready for bed in the hotel's luxurious pajamas, David had ordered an entire wardrobe delivered. She paused. Daddy, what's going to happen to Mrs. Victoria? She's moving out of the house. My lawyers are handling the divorce. She won't be part of our lives anymore. Will she try to hurt us? She might try, David said honestly. She might say mean things or try to cause problems. But I have lawyers and security to protect us. And more importantly, we have the truth. The cameras showed everything. What about Nina? Is she okay? Nina's fine. I called her this afternoon. She's still at the house, and she'll stay on as our housekeeper. She wanted me to tell you she's proud of you. Lily smiled at that. She was nice to me. Even when Mrs. Victoria told her not to be. Then we'll make sure Nina knows how much we appreciate her. As David tucked Lily into the king-sized bed, she'd insisted on sleeping in the same room as him. She looked up at him with serious eyes. Daddy, can we go home soon? I miss my room. My real room, not the one where I had to hide. Soon, David promised. First, we're going to have some people come clean out all of Victoria's things. Then we're going to redecorate however you want. New furniture, new colors, anything. We'll make it feel safe again. Okay. Okay. She yawned. Will you stay until I fall asleep? I'll stay all night if you want me to. I want you to. David sat in the chair beside her bed, his laptop open but ignored, watching his daughter finally relax into peaceful sleep for the first time in weeks. His phone buzzed. A text from his lawyer. Victoria's attorney is requesting a meeting. She's threatening to contest the prenup and claim emotional distress. Wants a settlement. David typed back. Show them the videos. Full stop. No settlement. Another text came through, this time from Margaret, the hotel owner who'd been at Victoria's dinner party. Mr. Chen, I don't know if you remember me, but I was a guest at your home 2 weeks ago. I witnessed your wife's treatment of your daughter. If you need a witness statement for any legal proceedings, I'm willing to provide one. What I saw was unconscionable. Margaret Wilson. David responded. Thank you. My lawyer will contact you. Your kindness won't be forgotten. He looked back at Lily, sleeping peacefully, her stuffed bunny tucked under her arm. The healing had begun. But David knew it would be a long road. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. Safety, once shattered, needs constant reinforcement. But they had time now. And they had each other. That would be enough to start. 3 days after David returned, his phone started ringing constantly. Not with business calls, but with something far more insidious. It started with a tabloid headline, Tech billionaire David Chen abandons wife after successful merger, Sources say he's been emotionally abusive. Then came the social media posts. Victoria had gone public. On her Instagram, which had been carefully curated to show a loving stepmother, she posted a lengthy statement. With a heavy heart, I'm sharing that my marriage to David Chen has ended. Despite my best efforts to create a loving home for his daughter, he has chosen to believe false accusations and force me out. I tried to bring structure and discipline to a household that desperately needed it, but a child's manipulation proved stronger than our vows. I'm devastated but will heal in time. Please respect my privacy during this difficult period. #Truth will out #wrongful accusation. The post had thousands of sympathetic comments within hours. David stared at his phone in disbelief. They were still at the Ritz, and Lily was in the bathroom getting ready for their morning room service breakfast. His phone rang. His publicist. David, we have a problem. Victoria's narrative is spreading fast. She's positioning herself as the victim. We need to respond. The truth will come out in court, David said. We have video evidence. Court takes time. Social media is now. She's already given an interview to a blogger who's posting it this afternoon. In it, she claims you're using your wealth and power to silence her. David felt his jaw clench. What do you recommend? We release a statement. Brief. Dignified. We mention that there's documented evidence that will be presented in court and that your priority is your daughter's well-being. Do it. But Victoria wasn't finished. That afternoon, while David was on a video call with his company's board of directors explaining his extended absence, Lily's tablet started pinging with notifications. Someone had created a fake social media account in Lily's name and was posting confessions about lying to get rid of her stepmother. The posts claimed Lily was spoiled, manipulative, and had made everything up because Victoria tried to discipline her. Lily saw one of the posts before David could stop her. Her face went white. Daddy, why are people saying I'm lying? David immediately closed his laptop, abandoning his meeting. He took the tablet from her hands. Because sometimes, people who do bad things try to make themselves look good by making others look bad. But we know the truth. And we have proof. But everyone's going to think I'm a liar. Tears welled in her eyes. No, sweetheart. The people who matter, the judge, the lawyers, anyone who sees the actual evidence, they'll know the truth. But the damage was spreading. By evening, Victoria had appeared on a local news segment, tears streaming down her face as she described being driven out by false accusations from a troubled child who never accepted me. She was good. David had to admit that. She looked genuinely heartbroken, spoke eloquently about trying to help, about being falsely accused. If he didn't have the videos, he might have believed her himself. His phone rang again. This time it was Margaret Wilson, the hotel owner. Mr. Chin, I just saw the news. I want you to know I've already contacted your lawyer with my statement. I was there that night. I saw everything. And I'm willing to go public if needed to counter her narrative. Thank you, Margaret. But I don't want to put you in the crossfire unless absolutely necessary. With all due respect, sir, I didn't build a successful business by staying silent when I witness injustice. That woman abused your daughter. I won't let her rewrite history. After they hung up, David made a decision. He called his lawyer again. James, I want to release carefully edited clips from the security footage. Nothing that shows Lily's face clearly. I want to protect her privacy. But enough to show Victoria's behavior. Can we do that without compromising the court case? It's risky. She could claim you're trying to manipulate public opinion. She's already manipulating public opinion with lies. I'm just countering with truth. Give me 2 hours. I'll consult with our media law team. Those 2 hours felt like an eternity. Lily had gone quiet, barely touching her dinner. She kept checking her tablet, reading the cruel comments people were making about her. Sweetheart, you need to stop reading those, David said gently, taking the device away. But they're saying I'm a bad person. They're saying you're using me to get rid of her because you want to date someone else. None of that is true, and deep down you know it. But what if my friends see it? What if my teachers see it? What if everyone at school thinks I'm a liar when I go back? David hadn't thought about that. Lily would have to return to school eventually, and children could be cruel, especially when influenced by online narratives. Then we'll deal with it, he said firmly. Together. And if we need to, we'll find you a new school where people don't know about any of this. But Lily, you did nothing wrong. Victoria is lying to protect herself. That's what people do when they're caught doing bad things. They lie louder. His phone rang. His lawyer. We can release a 2-minute compilation. It shows Victoria's behavior at the dinner party and includes audio of her harsh treatment, but Lily's face is blurred throughout. We're framing it as evidence that will be presented in court, rather than a response to her claims. It's defensive, not offensive. Do it. David, once this is out there, there's no taking it back. Victoria will escalate. Are you prepared for that? I'm prepared to protect my daughter's reputation and mental health. Release it. An hour later, David's legal team posted the video compilation on his official business Twitter account, with a statement. In response to recent false allegations, we are releasing a portion of security footage that documents the treatment my daughter experienced. This evidence will be presented in full during legal proceedings. My priority remains my child's well-being and safety. No further public statements will be made as this matter proceeds through the courts. David Chen. The video went viral within minutes. Comments flooded in, the tide rapidly turning. This is horrifying. That poor child. I believed Victoria at first, but this changes everything. Someone called Child Protective Services on Victoria, not the father. That woman made a child serve at her dinner party? What is wrong with her? Within 3 hours, Victoria's earlier sympathetic posts were being ratioed with criticism. People were finding her old social media posts and finding inconsistencies. Someone discovered she'd been planning to write a book about taming spoiled tech heirs, and had shopped it to publishers before the divorce. David's phone rang. An unknown number. He answered cautiously. You'll regret this. Victoria's voice, shaking with rage. I will destroy you. I will destroy your reputation, your company, everything. This call is being recorded, David said calmly, and any further threats will be forwarded to law enforcement. Goodbye, Victoria. He hung up and immediately called his lawyer to report the threatening call. That night, as Lily finally fell asleep after hours of worry, David sat by the window of their hotel suite, looking out at the twinkling lights of Silicon Valley. His valley. The place where he'd built an empire. But empires meant nothing if your family fell apart. His phone buzzed one more time. A text from Nina. Señor, I just saw the video. Toda la verdad está saliendo. All the truth is coming out. That little girl deserves peace. You did the right thing. David typed back. Thank you, Nina. For protecting her when I wasn't there. Siempre. Always. The battle with Victoria wasn't over. Her lawyer had already released a statement claiming the videos were taken out of context, and that she planned to sue for defamation. But for the first time since this nightmare began, David felt like they were on solid ground. The truth was out there now. And truth, he'd learned, was more powerful than any lie. No matter how loud or how many people initially believed it. 6 weeks after David returned home, the preliminary custody and divorce hearing began. Even though Lily was David's biological daughter and Victoria had no parental rights, Victoria's lawyers had filed for partial custody, claiming she'd been the primary caregiver and that removing her from Lily's life would cause emotional harm. It was absurd, but it meant David had to prove in court that Victoria was unfit, something he was more than prepared to do. The courtroom was smaller than David had expected, wood-paneled and formal. He sat at the plaintiff's table with his legal team, dressed in a dark suit. Across the aisle, Victoria sat with her lawyers, wearing a conservative dress and minimal makeup, looking nothing like the glamorous woman who'd hosted dinner parties. Lily wasn't required to be there, thank God. She was with Nina at a nearby cafe, working on her homework and trying to pretend this was a normal day. Judge Patricia Morrison entered, and everyone stood. She was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes that suggested she'd seen every trick in the book. "Let's begin," she said, settling into her chair. "I've reviewed the preliminary filings. Mrs. Chen Victoria Reed, you're requesting partial custody of a child who is not biologically yours and whom you've been stepmother to for only 6 months. Mr. Chen is opposing and seeking a restraining order. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," both lead attorneys said in unison. "Mr. Chin, your attorney may present evidence." James, David's lawyer, stood. "Your Honor, we'll be presenting security footage from the Chen residence that clearly shows Ms. Reed's treatment of the minor child. We also have witness testimony and medical documentation of injuries sustained during Ms. Reed's care." He pulled up the first video on the courtroom screen. It showed Victoria ordering Lily to change into the uniform. The judge's expression remained neutral, but her eyes narrowed slightly. The next clip showed the dinner party, Victoria's guests watching uncomfortably as Lily served them, then the moment Victoria struck the child. Victoria's lawyer objected. "Your Honor, this footage is taken out of context. Ms. Reed was attempting to instill discipline in a child who had become unmanageable due to—" "I'll determine context, counsel," Judge Morrison interrupted. "Continue the footage." The videos played for 20 minutes. The audio of Victoria's cruel words was perhaps worse than the visual evidence. Her voice, cold and cutting, saying things no adult should ever say to a child. When it finished, the courtroom was silent. "Ms. Reed," the judge said, turning to Victoria, "do you dispute the authenticity of this footage?" Victoria stood, her hands clasped in front of her. "Your Honor, I don't dispute that these incidents occurred, but they've been presented in the worst possible light. I was trying to teach Lily Chen responsibility and, by making her dress as household staff and serve at a dinner party." The judge's tone was sharp. She needed structure. Her father was always traveling, and she was becoming spoiled and defiant. "I tried to. Did Mr. Chen authorize this disciplinary approach?" Victoria hesitated. "We discussed the need for structure generally, but—" "That's a no," Judge Morrison stated. "Did you at any point inform Mr. Chen about making his daughter wear a staff uniform?" "No, Your Honor, but—" "Did you inform him you were having her serve at adult dinner parties?" The situation was complex. "Yes or no, Ms. Reed?" "No." Judge Morrison made a note. "Continue, Mr. Harper." James presented medical records next. The bruises on Lily's arm. The stress-induced stomach aches she'd developed. A psychological evaluation from Dr. Martinez showing signs of trauma and anxiety. Then came Margaret Wilson's testimony. She'd flown in from a business trip to be there. "Mrs. Wilson, you were a guest at Ms. Reed's dinner party. Can you describe what you witnessed?" Margaret spoke clearly and calmly. "I saw a 9-year-old child forced to serve adults like waitstaff. She was terrified. When she accidentally dropped something, Ms. Reed struck her across the face in front of everyone. The child didn't cry out, she just stood there, which told me this wasn't the first time. That level of conditioning to abuse is deeply troubling." Objection. Victoria's lawyer stood. "Ms. Wilson is not a qualified psychologist." Sustained. "Mrs. Wilson, please stick to what you observed, not interpretations." "Yes, Your Honor. I observed a child being physically struck and verbally berated. I observed the same child, earlier in the evening, trembling so badly she could barely hold a tray. And I observed that none of the adults present, myself included, stopped it. That's what I observed." Margaret's voice cracked slightly. "And I'll regret my inaction for the rest of my life." David felt a surge of respect for this woman he barely knew. Victoria's lawyer tried to present their own case. Character witnesses who'd seen Victoria being kind to Lily in public, a child psychologist who testified generally about the importance of discipline, arguments about David's frequent travel creating the need for firm boundaries. But it all fell flat against the video evidence. During a break, David stepped outside the courtroom to call and check on Lily. "Daddy, is it over yet?" she asked. "Not yet, sweetheart. But it's going well. How are you doing?" "Nina got me a hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. And I finished my math homework." "That's my girl. I'll be done soon, and then we'll go somewhere fun." "Okay. Okay. Daddy." "Yes. Are they going to make me see her again?" David's hand tightened on his phone. "Not if I have anything to say about it. And I think the judge agrees with me." When they reconvened, Judge Morrison delivered her preliminary ruling. "Having reviewed the evidence presented, I'm prepared to make several immediate determinations. First, Ms. Reed's petition for custody of any kind is denied. The evidence clearly shows a pattern of emotional and physical abuse." Victoria's face went white. "Second, I'm granting Mr. Chen's request for a restraining order. Ms. Reed is to have no contact with the minor child, directly or indirectly, for a period of no less than 2 years, at which point this order can be reviewed." "Your Honor, please." Victoria started to stand. "Sit down, Ms. Reed. I'm not finished." The judge's voice cut like steel. "Third, regarding the divorce proceedings and division of assets, I'm finding clear violation of the prenuptial agreements clause regarding treatment of Mr. Chen's daughter. Ms. Reed is entitled to nothing beyond her personal property." Victoria's lawyer jumped up. "Your Honor, we intend to appeal. You're welcome to try. But I'm putting it on record that this is one of the clearest cases of child mistreatment I've seen that didn't result in criminal charges. And Ms. Reed should count herself fortunate that Mr. Chen hasn't pressed for those charges, because based on this evidence, they would likely stick." The judge looked directly at Victoria. "Ms. Reed, you came into that child's life after she'd already lost a mother. Instead of providing care and stability, you chose to assert power and control. You turned her home into a place of fear. That is unconscionable." She turned to David. "Mr. Chen, you're granted full custody, obviously, as you already had it. But I want to be clear, your daughter needs therapy, and so do you. Your work-life balance needs immediate addressing. Wealth is no substitute for presence. Am I understood?" "Yes, Your Honor," David said, standing. "I've already made significant changes. My daughter is my priority. See that it stays that way." Judge Morrison gathered her papers. "We'll reconvene in 30 days to finalize the divorce decree. Until then, the temporary orders stand. Ms. Reed, remember, no contact means no contact. No emails, no messages through third parties, no driving past their home. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Are we clear?" "Yes, Your Honor," Victoria said, her voice barely audible. "Court is adjourned." As everyone stood, David felt the weight of 6 weeks lift from his shoulders. It was over. Not completely, there were still details to finalize, but the important part was done. Victoria would be out of their lives. Lily would be safe. As he walked out of the courtroom, Victoria's voice called out behind him. "David, please. Can we just talk for one?" 2 security guards immediately stepped between them, and Victoria's own lawyer pulled her back. David didn't even turn around. He just kept walking toward the exit, toward the cafe where his daughter was waiting, toward the future they could finally begin to build. When he reached the cafe, Lily looked up from her hot chocolate, her eyes wide with hope and fear. "It's over, Princess," David said, sitting beside her. "She can't come near you again. Ever." Lily's eyes filled with tears. Not sad ones, but relief. "Really? Really?" The judge said so. She threw her arms around him, spilling a little hot chocolate on both of them. Neither of them cared. Nina wiped her own eyes with a napkin. "Gracias a Dios. Finally, justice." They sat there for a long time, Lily holding on to her father like she might never let go, both of them beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, everything really would be okay. 2 months after the court ruling, David and Lily finally returned to their Silicon Valley home. But it looked nothing like the cold, intimidating space Victoria had controlled. David had hired interior designers who specialized in creating warm, comfortable family homes. The minimalist concrete and glass aesthetic remained, but now there were soft rugs, comfortable furniture in warm colors, and most importantly, Lily's input on every decision. Her bedroom had been completely redone in the colors she chose. Soft lavender walls with white furniture and fairy lights strung across the ceiling. She'd picked out a new bedspread covered in stars and moons. Her bookshelf was now filled not just with textbooks but with stories. Fantasy adventures, mysteries, comics. "What do you think, princess?" David asked as they stood in her doorway on moving back in day. "It's perfect," Lily breathed. "It feels like mine. Really mine." The rest of the house had changed too. The formal dining room where she'd served Victoria's guests was now a casual family space with a comfortable table and a cozy breakfast nook by the windows. The stark living room had been softened with throw pillows and blankets. Photos of Lily, David, and their late mother now covered the walls, not hidden away, but celebrated. "Welcome home, Mija." Nina appeared, having just finished arranging fresh flowers in the kitchen. She'd been given a raise and a new title, house manager. David had also offered to help her son with college tuition. Lily ran to hug her. "Nina, the house looks so different." "Because it's a home now, not a museum," Nina said warmly. "Come, I made your favorite empanadas." As they settled in over the next few weeks, David kept his promise about work. He'd restructured his entire life. He'd promoted his COO to co-CEO to share the daily operational burden. He worked from his home office 4 days a week, with only 1 day in the main office for essential meetings. His schedule now included Lily time, blocked out in red, sacred hours that couldn't be overridden for any business matter. They established new routines together. Breakfast as a family every morning. David walking Lily to the car that took her to school. Homework time in the evening where David sat with her, helping when she needed it. Friday movie nights where Lily picked the film and they made popcorn together. Dr. Martinez, the family therapist, came to the house twice a week for sessions. Sometimes with Lily alone, sometimes with David, often with both of them together. In one joint session, Dr. Martinez asked Lily, "How does it feel being home now?" Lily thought carefully. "It feels safer. Like I don't have to walk on eggshells anymore. I can just be myself." "And what about the memories of what happened? Do they still bother you?" "Sometimes," Lily admitted. "I'll walk past the dining room and remember serving people. Or I'll see my old uniform, even though Daddy burned it, in my head. But then I remember the judge said it wasn't my fault. And Daddy says it wasn't my fault. And Dr. Martinez says it wasn't my fault." She smiled slightly. "So I'm starting to believe it." David reached over and squeezed her hand. "That's excellent progress," Dr. Martinez said. "And David, how are you processing everything?" David was quiet for a moment. "I carry guilt every day. I should have seen it. Should have been there. Should have protected her better." "But you did protect her," Dr. Martinez countered. "When you discovered what was happening, you acted immediately and decisively. You believed your daughter. You prioritized her over your marriage, your convenience, everything. That matters. I just wish I'd acted sooner. You can't change the past. You can only shape the future. And from what I'm seeing, you're doing exactly that." The hardest moment came when Lily's school friends started asking questions. Social media had made the story semi-public, even though David had tried to shield Lily's identity as much as possible. One afternoon, Lily came home from school quieter than usual. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" David asked. "Some kids at school were talking. They said I got my stepmom kicked out because I didn't want to follow rules. They said I'm spoiled and I got her in trouble for trying to discipline me." David felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. What did you say? I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. They sat down together on the couch. Lily, some people will always believe the first story they hear, or the story that's easier to understand. Troubled child gets rid of strict stepmother, is simpler than the truth. But you know the truth. I know the truth. The judge knew the truth. But it still hurts when people think I'm a liar. I know it does. And I'm sorry you have to deal with that. But here's what I want you to remember. People who really know you, who really care about you, they know the truth. Nina knows. Dr. Martinez knows. Your real friends know. Those are the opinions that matter. What if it keeps happening? Then we'll deal with it. If school becomes too difficult, we'll find another school. Or we'll try homeschooling for a while. We have options. You're not trapped, Lily. Not anymore. She leaned against him. I'm glad you're my dad. I'm glad you're my daughter, he replied softly. Even when I mess up, that never changes. Over the following weeks, things gradually normalized. Lily rejoined her art class, which she'd loved before Victoria forbade it. David took her to a father-daughter coding camp at his company, where she built her first simple game. They visited her mother's grave together for the first time in months, bringing fresh flowers and sitting in comfortable silence. One Saturday morning, David found Lily in the kitchen helping Nina make pancakes, but this time by choice, wearing a frilly apron with cartoon characters on it, laughing as flour got everywhere. Daddy, we're making chocolate chip pancakes. Want to help? David joined them, his expensive watch getting covered in batter, his designer shirt getting splashed with milk. None of it mattered. This was what home was supposed to feel like. That evening, as they ate the slightly burnt but delicious pancakes together, Lily said something that made David's heart swell. Daddy, thank you for coming home when I needed you. Always, princess. Always. And Daddy, I think I'm going to be okay now. David smiled, his eyes misty. We're both going to be okay. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the sun set over Silicon Valley, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Inside, laughter filled the house that had been quiet for too long. The mansion was no longer just a showcase of wealth. It was home again. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows of the Chen home, catching on the new family photos that lined the hallway. 1 year had passed since the court ruling, and the house had transformed from a showcase into a lived-in home filled with warmth and laughter. David stood in the kitchen making coffee, watching through the window as 10-year-old Lily played in the garden with Nina's grandson, who came over every Saturday. She was taller now, healthier, her face bright with genuine joy. The shadows that had haunted her eyes were gone. Morning, Daddy. Lily bounded in through the back door, her hair messy from running around. She wore jeans and a t-shirt with a coding joke on it, something his company had made for Kids' Day. Morning, princess. Hungry. Starving. Can we make French toast? We can try, David laughed. Remember last time? I know, I added too much cinnamon. But I've been practicing with Nina. They moved around the kitchen together with easy familiarity, Lily cracking eggs while David prepared the bread. These simple moments, once taken for granted, then stolen away, now reclaimed, meant everything. Nina came in carrying fresh groceries. Buenos dias, familia. The farmer's market had beautiful strawberries today. Perfect for the French toast, Lily said excitedly. As they cooked together, David reflected on how much had changed. His company was thriving, the merger had been successful, but he'd stuck to his new schedule religiously. He was no longer the billionaire who lived at the office. He was a father who happened to be a successful CEO. His board had initially worried about his reduced hours, but productivity had actually increased. Turned out that a well-rested, emotionally present leader made better decisions than an exhausted workaholic. Daddy, don't forget, I have my art show next Friday, Lily reminded him, carefully flipping her French toast. It was perfect this time. Already on my calendar in red. Wouldn't miss it for anything. What if there's an important meeting? Then someone else takes it. You're more important than any meeting. Always. Lily smiled, the kind of deep, genuine smile that reached her eyes. A year ago, she'd barely smiled at all. After breakfast, as Lily settled in to work on a digital art project, David's phone rang. An unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Mr. Chen? This is Margaret Wilson. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Margaret. Not at all. How are you? I'm well, thank you. I'm actually calling with a request. I'm starting a foundation focused on protecting children in high-wealth families. There are surprisingly few resources for these kids, as people assume money solves everything. I was wondering if you and Lily might be willing to share your story. Anonymously if you prefer, but I think it could help other children speak up when they're being mistreated. David paused, glancing at Lily working contentedly on her art. That's a powerful idea, Margaret. Let me discuss it with Lily and our therapist. She's come so far, I don't want to do anything that might set her back. Of course. Take all the time you need. I just wanted to plant the seed. After they hung up, David sat thinking. The old him would have immediately said no, wanting to protect Lily from any public exposure. But Dr. Martinez had taught him to include Lily in decisions that affected her life. That evening during dinner, he brought it up. Lily, I got an interesting call today from Mrs. Wilson. You remember her, she testified at the court hearing. The nice lady who stood up for me? That's right. She wants to start a foundation to help kids in wealthy families who might be going through what you went through. She asked if we'd be willing to share our story to help other children. Lily put down her fork, considering. Would people know it was me? Not unless you wanted them to. It could be completely anonymous. Or we could share some details but keep your name private. Or we could decline entirely. It's your choice, sweetheart. Your story, your decision. Would it really help other kids? I think it might. Sometimes people don't realize that abuse can happen in any family, even wealthy ones. Sometimes kids don't speak up because they think no one will believe them. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Can I think about it? Of course. There's no rush. 3 days later, Lily came to David's home office where he was reviewing quarterly reports. Daddy. I've been thinking about Mrs. Wilson's foundation. David immediately closed his laptop, giving her his full attention. And I want to help. Not with my real name, and not with my face in pictures. But if my story could help even one kid tell someone they're being hurt, then it's worth it. She paused. Because you know what the worst part was? What, sweetheart? I thought I was alone. I thought no one would believe me. I thought maybe I really was just being difficult and Mrs. Victoria was right. Her eyes filled with tears. If I'd known other kids went through this stuff, if I'd known it wasn't my fault, maybe I would have told you sooner. David pulled her into a hug. I'm so proud of you. Your bravery will help so many others. Will you help too? Will you tell dads that they need to pay attention, even when work is busy? Absolutely. That's the most important message of all. Over the next few months, David and Lily worked with Margaret to develop the foundation. They called it Safe Harbor, a place where children from all backgrounds, including wealthy families, could get help when dealing with abuse or neglect. David donated a significant sum to get it started and used his connections to recruit child psychologists, legal experts, and advocates. Lily helped design the website and create resources specifically for kids, including an anonymous tip line. They recorded their story, voices disguised, faces hidden, for the foundation's launch video. In it, Lily spoke directly to other children. If someone in your home makes you feel scared or worthless, it's not your fault. Even if they say you're being difficult or that you deserve it. Even if other adults don't notice. You deserve to be safe and loved. Please tell someone. Keep telling until someone listens. David's portion addressed parents and caregivers. I thought I was doing everything right. I provided financial security, hired good staff, married someone I thought would be a good step-parent. But I wasn't present. I wasn't paying attention to the small signs. And I nearly lost my daughter because of it. Your presence matters more than your presence. Your attention matters more than your bank account. Be there. Really be there. The video went viral, sparking conversations across the country about children's safety in all types of households. Several children came forward with their own stories of mistreatment, getting help because of Lily and David's courage in speaking out. On the 6-month anniversary of Safe Harbor's launch, Margaret called with news. David, I wanted you to know, we've helped 47 children get into safe situations since we started. 47 kids who might have suffered in silence. Your story is making a real difference. David felt emotion catch in his throat. That's incredible. There's something else. One of those children, a young boy whose stepfather was mistreating him, he wrote a letter. He asked me to send it to the girl whose dad came home. Would you like me to forward it? Please. The letter arrived by email an hour later. David read it first, then called Lily into his office. Someone wrote you a letter, sweetheart. Would you like me to read it to you? She nodded, settling into the chair beside his desk. David read, Dear girl whose dad came home, my name is Marcus and I'm 11. I saw your video on the Safe Harbor website. My stepdad used to make me do a lot of stuff that made me feel bad and scared. He said if I told anyone, he'd make sure my mom lost custody of me. I was really scared. But then I saw your video and you said to keep telling until someone listens. So I told my teacher. And she believed me. She called people who help kids, and now I'm living with my grandma and I feel safe. I just wanted to say thank you. You were really brave and you helped me be brave too. I hope you're happy now. You deserve to be happy. Your friend, Marcus. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. He's safe now. Because we told our story, he's safe. Because you were brave enough to share what happened to you, David corrected gently. You turned your pain into purpose, Lily. That's extraordinary. She wiped her eyes. Can we write him back? I think that would mean the world to him. They composed a response together, Lily dictating while David typed. Dear Marcus, thank you for being so brave. I'm so glad you're safe with your grandma now. You did the right thing by telling your teacher. The grown-ups who are supposed to protect us should never make us feel scared or bad. That's on them, not us. I'm doing much better now. My dad and I are a real team, and I know he'll always be there for me. I hope you and your grandma have lots of happy times together. Remember, you're strong and brave and you matter. Stay safe, your friend, Elle. That evening, as they were finishing dinner, Lily said something that took David's breath away. Daddy. I know this sounds weird, but I'm kind of glad everything happened. David carefully set down his fork. What do you mean? I mean, what Mrs. Victoria did was really bad. And I never want any kid to go through that. But she searched for the words. If it hadn't happened, you'd still be traveling all the time. We wouldn't have our Friday movie nights. You wouldn't come to all my school stuff. And we wouldn't have helped Marcus and all those other kids. She looked up at him with wise eyes that seemed older than her 10 years. Something bad happened, but we turned it into something good. And now we're closer than we ever were. So in a weird way, I'm grateful. Does that make sense? David had to clear his throat before he could speak. It makes perfect sense, sweetheart. Resilience isn't about bad things not happening. It's about how we respond when they do. And you've shown more resilience than most adults I know. I learned it from you. You didn't just get mad at Mrs. Victoria. You fixed things. You made sure I was safe. You changed your whole life for me. You were always worth changing my life for. I just wish I'd realized it sooner. But you realized it when it mattered most, Lily said simply. That's what counts. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, David stood in the hallway looking at the family photos on the wall. There was one of Lily from the previous week at her art show, proudly standing next to her painting, a vibrant image of a sunrise with the words, "New Beginnings," painted in gold letters. His phone buzzed. A message from his company's COO. "Quarterly earnings are excellent. Board wants to thank you for the strategic decisions you've made. The work-life balance model you've implemented is being studied by other companies. You've revolutionized not just our company culture but the industry." David smiled, but he didn't respond immediately. Instead, he walked to Lily's room and gently pushed open the door. She was asleep, her stuffed bunny tucked under her arm, a slight smile on her peaceful face. This was his greatest success. Not the billions in the bank. Not the company's stock price. Not the merger or the awards or the magazine covers. This little girl, sleeping safely in her own room, in her own home, knowing beyond any doubt that she was loved and protected. Everything else was just noise. David quietly pulled her door closed and returned to the living room. He finally replied to his CO. "Thanks for the update. Glad to hear it. See you Tuesday for the board meeting. But remember, nothing gets scheduled during Lily's art class hours. That time is sacred." He set his phone down and looked out at the twinkling lights of Silicon Valley. His valley. The place where he'd built an empire. But his true empire was upstairs, sleeping soundly. And that was the only empire that really mattered. The end. Thank you for joining us on Lily and David's journey from darkness to healing. Their story reminds us that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in presence, love, and the courage to protect those who matter most. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful, emotional stories that inspire and move us. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our next upload. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late to make things right, and that speaking up can save lives.